your relationships are vital. Now, I recently did do a video about this, I think, anyway. I'm getting lost in the sea of different videos I've made lately. Regardless, your relationships are absolutely vital. Why? Because how you relate is likely how you relate to everything. Now, what am I saying? This was something which I picked up from a class I was taking about human connections, and I found this really interesting. If you're perhaps familiar with this phrase, how you do anything is how you do everything. First, let me say this. I'm not a huge fan of that phrase, and I'll tell you why. Because for me, I guess you could say that I have always felt like I've been sort of an inconsistent person. Now, so therefore, the problem I have with that is that the picture that sends to the world is I'm an inconsistent person. If how you do anything is how you do everything, then I'm saying to the world that I'm inconsistent. However, I also know that I'm not inconsistent. There have been plenty of times in my life where I have, in fact, case in point, this vlog project is something which I'm doing for 365 days. Now we're at a day, I don't know. I want to say it's like 140 something. By this point, I don't honestly know. Maybe it's 145 or 6. At any rate, we're almost at like 150, 160 days of this vlogging. Point is, I've clearly been able to be consistent with that. So there are absolutely times in which I am consistent in my life. So the reason that I'm not a huge fan of the how you do anything is how you do everything phrase is because I don't really believe that that's true. In fact, for most things in my life, if I commit, I'm committed, and that's that. That isn't to say that if I commit, I'm suddenly uncommitted. I'm just saying that in my life, if I commit, I'm committed, and that's the end. There is no more, there is no further story. Now, I wanted to talk about this because it can be a little bit sobering to realize that the way in which we interact in the world is a lot based on us. What I meant by titling this video that your relationships are vital is, well, twofold. One, it starts with you, and that's a really, really big point that I want to bring home. Your health, happiness, etc. with the world and with yourself and with other people, as crazy as it may sound, really fully does start with yours truly. Until or unless you respect, you love, you care for your body, yourself, mental health, physical health, the whole shebang, until you really learn how to love yourself, your relationships and external environment will reflect exactly however it is that you do feel about yourself or you do feel about the world, which plays similarly into a recent video I did about the glasses that you're wearing, about the filter that you have on life, and also into a video I did about beliefs and how what you believe is really all that matters. Thus, also, your relationships are so important because, funny enough, maybe, the way that you interact with others is most likely, one, the way you interact with yourself, and two, might need some shifting. What do I mean? I can give you a personal example for sure. For the longest time, and I don't want to give any numbers because honestly, I don't know. It was a long time, the majority of my life, up until maybe a decade, give or take. I had really critical, harsh self-talk, really critical. Now you can blame that on any number of things. That isn't the point. Ultimately, I know why that had happened, why I developed this really harsh inner critic. The point, though, is that what I think I realized was happening was that a lot of the time I ended up pushing people away because what I didn't know was I was emulating control, which was exerted upon me, I guess you could say, in the parenting process. In an attempt to control my own life, I was like souring relationships by perhaps accidentally pushing people away. How? In my case, it was because what would happen with me was when I would get excited about a new friendship, at least I understand this to be a pattern I used to have, I would get so excited that I finally had a friend and somebody to talk to that what I think now looking back is I would overwhelm the person. They'd be in a sea of texts because they didn't know how, they'd probably had interacted with other normal kids who like had other friends before, and I came from a place of like large isolation. I was an only child. I wasn't used to socialization much, honestly. And so when I got connected, especially to somebody that I really liked or got along well with, I tended to be a bit like spraying the fire hose in their face. I'm like share all the things. There's no like mystery left. I would leave it all out on the table very quickly. And I realize now that I could have been quite a bit to like handle, I guess you could say. I was quite a lot. And I still am quite a lot, but I proudly own it now. That's the difference. I also have a much better control over like the faucet and whether I just come out spraying people in the face or not. So the main point of this whole video, however, though, is to tie this in a nice little bow so you all aren't lost in the sea of things. The main point, really, the reason I wanted to make the video about it is that point about how you're treating yourself. Because a lot of the time we look out there and we think to ourselves, and as I used to be guilty of this as well, thinking that, oh, things are happening to me, without realizing, in fact, that those rearrangements were things the universe was doing for me. They were like, oh, hold up, that isn't working so good. Let me just like reach in there and then like scramble that back out. So for us, it looks really crazy and sometimes even scary and like, what's happening? In fact, the universe is just like, well, hold on, that doesn't go there and this doesn't go here, and they're fixing things. Your relationship to yourself is paramount because your relationship to yourself spills out into every other relationship you have. So if you happen to, this is just a random example, if you happen to be getting a lot of reflections of, let's say, abandonment or disrespect, I would invite you to look inside at yourself. How do you treat yourself? When you feel you need something, do you allow yourself to have that succor, that soothingness? Do you soothe yourself? Or do you just say, you know what, it's our life, like, well, it's too bad, we just don't get to enjoy that? Really, a lot has to do with our perspective and how loving we're being towards ourselves. And as a side invitation, I want to invite you to really, really love yourself, because as I have said about 1 billion ways to Sunday and 1 million different videos lately, you are a unique expression of the divine. You're the only one who is like you are, and you're the only one who can express the way your soul is meant to express here on this planet in this life. And holy cow, what a time to be alive, people. Like, really, we are in one of the greatest times of the world. And I don't just mean like planet Earth. I mean like the galaxy, the worlds that, heck, I don't even know what's out there type worlds. This is a time to be alive and to experience. So understand that if your life is getting shifted and swirl-winded around, you're not alone. Mine too. It's part of the great chaos to order thing that we're experiencing right now. And to tie this back up, understand that whatever reflection you're seeing from people, from situations externally, believe it or not, in some way or another, it is how you actually feel about yourself. So I invite you to heal those parts of yourself if they need healing, because you deserve to live a beautiful, easeful, is that a word? A beautiful, easeful, relaxed, and happy, joyful life. And I really wish that for you. I really manifest that you see that and that you feel that love that I feel for myself now for yourself, that you can love yourself as much as anyone else you might love also. So if you know anyone who needs some self-love, who this would help, share this video with them. Subscribe, as it does really help out a small content creator like myself to get the message, like things like this, out there to people who really need to hear it. And last but not least, if you, my beautiful soul, need support, please do reach out to this email address, and it would be my absolute pleasure to help you in any way that I can. Have a beautiful and a blessed rest of your day or night, and I will see you, gorgeous cats, in the next video. Namaste and much love. Bye. Understand that whatever your relationships and external environment will reflect exactly however it is that you do feel about yourself. All over like the faucet, like reach in there and blah, blah, blah. If you a rebel like me, I never really like being told what to do. So if you resonate with that, then you'll probably enjoy this. In fact, for most things in my life, if I commit, I'm committed. And that's that. I'm very treat motivated. I like rewards. And I still am quite a lot, but I proudly own it now. That's the difference. Holy cow, what a time to be alive, people.